What's up, champ? Hope you have a great day, another true conversation. Hope you're doing fantastic wherever you are in this world. Hope you had a productive week. Hope you're getting a lot of shit done. Time for another episode of True Conversations. Now, before we get started, make sure to like this video. It really helps with the algorithm. Make sure to subscribe here. I'm doing my absolute best to put out tons of different content for you guys everybody who is into dancing, training, nutrition, mindset, growing. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe right here under. And today we're gonna talk about one of my favorite topics. We're gonna talk about virtues. Virtues and how to hold yourself, or how to become a virtuous person. If virtuous person is the way to say it. Whatever, English is not even my second language, so make sure to follow along, and I promise we're gonna go through this one together. Now, before we go, let me read from the computer here. What does ChatGPT say about the definition of virtues? It says, virtue is a quality or characteristic of a person that is considered to be morally good or desirable. It refers to a behavior or a set of habits that shows high moral standards such as honesty, integrity, courage, kindness, and self-discipline. Virtue is often associated with ethical and moral principles and is considered essential for living a good and fulfilling life. In many philosophical and religious traditions, virtues are considered to be the foundation of ethical behavior and are necessary for building strong and just communities. Where is the mic so I can drop it? That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Well done, ChatGPT. You're doing great right now. So let's run over this together. Let's read again and let's really talk about what it is. Let me put my glasses on first because this is something else. Virtue is a quality or set of characteristics of a person that is considered to be morally good or desirable. And essentially that's us, right? Like anybody who's watching this channel wants to be a desirable person, right? Like, where is the negativity in being a good and desirable person, somebody to look up to? I've said this previously, that one of my, I guess you can call that long-term goals, right? It's to be the strongest person at my father's funeral. Why? Because that's something I think everybody can look up to. Everybody can look up to that person. The person at a funeral that dares to show his emotions, is in tune with his emotions, but can also help others go through the transition in losing your father, right? Whether that is your father passed away from natural instances or whatever the case may be, right? So, considered to be morally good and desirable. It refers to behavior or a set of habits that shows high moral standards. So, a set of behaviors or a set of habits, things that you're doing. So that's the beautiful thing with virtue. It's a skill. You can learn how to be virtuous. This is not something that you're born with. This is something that you learn. It's a set of skills, a set of habits, such as honesty. You're honest with people. You're honest with yourself. You don't lie to yourself. You don't lie to the close people around you. Integrity. You stand for something. This is the things I refuse. This is the line I refuse to cross. Courage. You're brave. You are courageous in your actions. Whether that is to whatever courageous means to you, right? You dare to dance in front of people, you dare to speak your mind, you dare to be vulnerable, you dare to be on stage, you dare to fill in the blanks, right? Kindness, you're kind to people. Because remember, this is things that is considered to be morally good or desirable, right? And then the last thing, we spoke about courage, kindness, kind to others, kind to animals, kind to yourself, self-love, and then self-discipline, the highest form of self-love. You're holding yourself accountable when nobody's watching. You're holding yourself accountable and staying disciplined now in order for you to reap the benefits later. Investing, this goes for finances as investing, this is good for your mental health. Meditating, even if you don't feel like meditating, you're still doing it. You're journaling, you are doing it for your physical health. You hit the gym even if you don't feel like it. I haven't trained today, really do not feel like doing it. Training at night is when it's hardest for me to get a real workout in. And today I gotta do it. So it is what it is, right? But I'm self-disciplined, that's the thing. And virtues are often associated with ethical or moral principles that are considering for living a good and fulfilling life. These are necessary behaviors for building strong and just communities. That's what it all is. That's what all of these things is, right? Like, imagine if you were surrounded by people. You were just surrounded by people that everybody was virtuous. Everybody wanted to practice their honesty, integrity, high moral standards, courage, kindness, self-discipline. Imagine if you surrounded yourself with those people. Imagine where you would be. Imagine how you could push each other to next levels. And that's what we're doing in Young Wolves, right? Like, that's the whole thing with Young Wolves. The whole Young Wolf society is essentially a bunch of men getting together and deciding to be great, right? So how do you start this thing, right? Like, where do you start? Like, all of these things, it's a lot. It's like honesty, integrity, courage, kind, self-discipline. It can be hard to navigate around, right? But it all starts with where you are. That's what you got to remember. You got to remember that you start where you are and you are constantly taking small steps in the right direction. Because remember, this is a set of behaviors or a set of habits. So this is something that you're doing every day. This is a skill that you're practicing. You're practicing being virtuous by being humble, by being kind to animals, by being kind to people around you, by being self-disciplined. And all of this continuous effort, the continuous effort of being virtuous, will help you in so many realms of life. Because according to these, and according to a lot of philosophers, only way to live a good life, a life of fulfillment, is to practice these things. That's the thing, right? And I honestly consider myself to be a very virtuous person. Not only because I'm a kind person, I'm very rarely angry. I very rarely treat people, if ever treat people or animals badly. I love dogs. Like, I'm self-disciplined, I'm courageous. I've started, and then again, it's like, well, what do I consider to be courageous, right? That might not be the same thing as yours. For me, being courageous is, for example, dancing in front of 1,000 people alone on stage without knowing the music, right? Like, improvising. That's putting myself out there. That's courageous for me. It's starting a new company. That's courageous for me. It's courageous to move to a new country. I lived in 5 different countries. These are all traits of courageousness for me, right? So, but these are things that I had to practice. I had to practice these things. And I also think it's courageous to have these awkward conversations with people, right? Because it doesn't need to be these big, standing on stage, starting a company. It doesn't need to be those things. It's the small things, right? Because again, remember, it's a set of behaviors, a set of skills that you're doing frequently. You're doing them frequently. You're pushing forward in those things. So what can that be, right? Like, an example of that could be having a conversation with a partner, even if it's an awkward conversation, or a conversation that's like, you gotta be vulnerable, for example. You can be having a conversation with a friend that you felt your friend disrespected you in public. I never disrespect my friends in public. That's one of my life rules. But if a friend disrespects me in public, I'm gonna check him. I might not do that straight away, but I will have that conversation with him sooner than later, right? It's all a matter of timing. I don't need to be disrespectful just because you disrespected me, but I will keep a note on that, and then I will take that up with you later. That could also be courageous, right? So I've asked on my social media in order for me to see, what do you guys think? If you don't follow me on social media, it's Sebastian_BeFit. I'm up here somewhere, hopefully. And I asked us, what are some of the questions you guys have about virtue? And I think here there are some really good questions out there. So let me just do it. It goes, what are the key virtues that men should strive for? I think that's a fantastic question. And this is not only for men. I think the key virtue people should strive for is honesty. Practice brutal honesty. I practice radical honesty, which it's not necessarily advice, but radical honesty combined with good timing is how you move forward. You don't need to be honest and mean at the same time, right? There is a timing to everything. For example, if there is a show, because I'm a dancer, right? So if I go and see a show and I think the show is let's say it's my friend. My friend she has her show. Straight after her show, she comes out to me and she speaks to me and she's like, how was my show? What do you think about the show? Hair fixed, still makeup on, still wearing costume. If I thought it was shit, now is not the moment to say it. No, that is not the moment to say it, because she's still high on adrenaline, excited, high on dopamine. So I can just tell her, like, I really enjoyed seeing you do your craft. I really enjoyed the setup, and I thought that specific detail was amazing. No lies found. But if I tell her straight away, like, yeah, I thought it was shit, but like, that timing is so off. Now I'm mean. So if I give her the truth, but I really enjoyed seeing you live, but then I give her what I thought about the show, I can do that after. A couple of days can wait, right? So honesty combined with timing. Integrity. You gotta stand for something. You gotta stand for something. And it's not you gotta stand for something. You gotta be virtuous and practice your integrity when it's hard, right? Because that's the thing. The only time you can really practice being like standing in your integrity is when it's hard to do it, right? Because it gets uncomfortable. That's the only time you can do it. That's the only time you can practice your integrity. For example, my little brother, he don't drink. Doesn't drink at all. And he stands by that. He's the person that is dancing the most on every party. He don't smoke, he don't drink. Now, every time there is peer pressure, you have a moment to practice integrity. When everybody's going left and you know you want to go right, you stay by your facts or you stay by your truth, that's the moment you can practice integrity. When there is peer pressure, that's the best example to practice your integrity. No, I stand for this. Here's where I draw the line. I'm not going to bend on this. A future, let's say it like this, a future business partner. Here's another example. A future business partner of mine, a guy I'm potentially going into business with. He told me to call a friend of mine and leave out a piece of information in order for him to get a deal done. And I just told him, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And he said, yeah, but Sebastian is so good for the project, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but I don't stand for this. That's not what I do. I'm not going to call somebody, friend, no friend. I'm not going to call anybody and lie or give them or purposefully guide them in that direction by holding on to pieces of information that they might need. Like that, I'm not going to do that. And that comes down to my integrity. So again, what are we discussing here? We are discussing what are the key virtues that men or women should strive for. Honesty, integrity, and then the most important of them all, self-discipline. You will get nowhere without self-discipline. You will be stuck in the past until the passage of time is over. There's no way that you're going to get to where you need to get without self-discipline. Self-discipline means sacrificing short-term pleasure in order for you to get something, to reap the rewards long-term. Discipline literally means doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you are supposed to be doing it, whether you feel like it or not. And that's self-discipline. It means going to bed on time even if you don't feel like it. It means doing these types of YouTube videos even if I don't feel like it. It means posting on Instagram even if I don't feel like it. Hitting the gym even if I don't feel like it. Why? Because it's the right thing to do in order for me to get to where I want to get. And it's more important for me that I reach my goals long-term than my short-term pleasure. It's more important for me that I save my money and invest my money than I do some bullshit over here, right? Like that's the most important. Like I want to invest in me. I want to invest in others, but self-discipline, staying disciplined with my investing, staying disciplined with my nutrition, staying disciplined with the way I think, staying disciplined with how I approach other people, staying disciplined with how I communicate with my partner, staying disciplined with how often I meet my family members. All of these things matters. All of these things matters, and it's so important. Look how I'm getting excited talking about this. I'm sweating. Try to record a podcast in Africa inside when it's 30 degrees outside. You try that. Point B, self-discipline is the number one key aspect of virtue that everybody needs to work. You won't get anywhere without it. You will not live your life to the fullest. You will never get what we call a big life. You will never get big paychecks, have big friendships, have big relationships, have big yachts, big meals, big family gatherings. You won't get there. I promise you won't get there unless you have a set of virtues that you're following and you are staying self-disciplined throughout this entire process. I promise you that much, champ. Make sure to stay disciplined. There's no other way around it. Virtue is super important. Whenever you want to elevate from one plateau to another, one set of mind or one mindset to another, one physical appearance to another, any hierarchy you're trying to climb, you need to stay self-disciplined. And you do that by doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing it, whether you feel like it or not. Stay sharp. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. And please let me know what you thought about this video in the comments. I'm putting down a lot of time to create these videos for you guys. So please let me know, because this might be completely irrelevant, but unless you tell me, I don't know what to do with this. Stay sharp.